The Jewish Channel's Week in Review. President Barack Obama loses a majority of the Jewish community on Israel for the first time, Jewish celebrities on HBO and in historic delis, and more of the Jewish news that's changing your world right now on this episode of the Week in Review. Hello and welcome to the Jewish Channel's Week in Review. I'm Stephen I. Weiss. American Jews are not happy with recent developments in the Israeli-Palestinian relationship. Amid all the turmoil of the past month's lead-up to the call for recognition of a Palestinian state at the United Nations, American Jews have shared their views on many issues and how they feel about both President Barack Obama and Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. All this information comes as a result of the American Jewish Committee's annual survey of American Jewish opinion, for which American Jews were polled last month. Let's take a look at the massive drop in optimism for Israeli-Palestinian peace. More than 1 out of every 3 American Jews say they are less optimistic about a lasting peace than they were just a year ago. That's almost double the amounts who said the same thing last year. American Jews also say the relationship between Israel and the United States is more negative than it has been at any point recorded over the past 10 years. Only 63% characterize the relationship as positive and 36% as negative. In this graph, you can see the 18% drop in thinking it's positive from 2009, as the negative sentiment rose 20%. This means that essentially 1 in every 5 American Jews has switched from feeling it's positive to feeling it's negative. And who's getting the blame for the state of the U.S.-Israel relationship? In the past 12 months, both Obama and Netanyahu have seen sizable dips in their approval and large increases in disapproval. But Obama is clearly doing much worse with American Jews. For the first time, a majority of American Jews disapprove of Obama's handling of the U.S.-Israel relationship. And while both Obama and Netanyahu have seen their numbers drop over the past year, the trajectory since 2009 shows that Obama has clearly received the bulk of the blame. Where the two were on very similar footing in late 2009 and early 2010, Obama has lost much more Jewish approval than Netanyahu. And amid all this unhappiness, pessimism, and disapproval regarding Israel's situation, the Jewish community overall is taking a new stance on the two-state solution. For the first time, a majority of American Jews opposes the establishment of a Palestinian state. The significance of this change could have a very significant impact on Jewish advocacy. For at least the past 10 years, diplomats, elected officials, and Jewish leaders could confidently say that American Jews supported a two-state solution and supported the imminent establishment of a Palestinian state. If this survey is confirmed with more data over a longer term, we could find that that is no longer the case. Because of the very specific phrasing of this question, it's hard to say whether this represents a sea change in sentiment about the two-state solution overall, or just about a very specific set of circumstances. Nevertheless, the drop is very significant. Here at TJC, we've assembled the responses to this question going back 10 years. It has always been the case in those 10 years that more American Jews favored the establishment of a Palestinian state, quote, in the current situation, and oftentimes it was a majority of American Jews who favored it. Starting in 2007, the balance became somewhat more even, but the last year has seen a dramatic turn. A 20% swing that now sees a majority disapproving of the establishment of a Palestinian state, and a yawning gap that is the precise opposite of Jewish attitudes in the middle of the past decade. Throughout many of these numbers, we're seeing American Jewish attitudes that held steady for nearly a decade, or that held steady throughout much of the Obama administration, take sudden changes in the last 12 to 18 months. Clearly, a variety of factors has very much altered Jewish opinion. What that change will mean for Jewish advocacy in the Israeli-Palestinian peace process is still an open question. But what will be the impact on American politics here in the United States? The Republican presidential hopefuls are all candidates hoping to capitalize on negative sentiment about Obama's Israel policies to win votes. However, when American Jews were asked whether they'd vote for Obama or any of the Republican candidates, Obama came out on top with very wide margins over Congresswoman Michelle Bachmann, Texas Governor Rick Perry, and former Massachusetts Governor Mitt Romney. And for Republicans who had hoped that New Jersey Governor Chris Christie would be the candidate to win the White House for the GOP, the response from American Jews in this survey showed him in the middle of that pack, so it seems that his decision earlier this week not to run will not affect the American Jewish vote in 2012. However, these competing statistics raise an obvious question. Why is it that Obama has seen such significant change in his approval on Israel, but maintained very high margins of support over Republican presidential candidates? The reason for that is plain. Despite all the attention paid to Jewish attitudes on Israel, almost no Jews actually decide who to vote for based on Israel issues. Instead, almost all Jews list other concerns, from the economy to social issues, far higher on their list of concerns as voters. And one prominent Jew has already decided he's going to be supporting Obama just weeks after denouncing the president. Former New York City Mayor Ed Koch made many headlines when he endorsed Republican Bob Turner over Democrat and Orthodox Jew David Weprin in the recent special election for the congressional seat vacated by Anthony Weiner. At the time, Koch said he was endorsing Turner only as a protest over Obama's Israel policies, having nothing at all to do with anything else in the election. Well, Koch has now completely reversed his position and said he's endorsing Obama in his re-election bid. Why the change of heart? Koch said it has to do with Obama's stance at the United Nations 2 weeks ago, in which the president supported Israel and opposed the Palestinians' unilateral bid for statehood. Koch wrote a public email to his supporters in which he said, "I'm now on board the Obama re-election express." In referring to his endorsement earlier in September against Obama, Koch wrote, "I believe the recent vote in the 9th Congressional District in New York affected in a positive way the policy of the U.S. on the Mideast." Of course, perhaps the former mayor should have paid closer attention to our reporting here at TJC News. As we've noted at various points over the past 9 months, the Obama administration repeatedly vowed to veto a Palestinian statehood resolution. But if one's going to talk about old-school politics in New York, there's a story that goes back a lot farther than Ed Koch's mayoralty in the 1980s. Going farther back takes you to a different time for Jews in New York, one in which many notorious Jews were on the other side of the law, following the lead of famous Jewish gangsters like Bugsy Siegel and Meyer Lansky. In HBO's Boardwalk Empire, a Lansky character has a prominent role, and as the show's second season gets underway, our Meredith Gansman caught up with the actor playing Meyer Lansky in the historic Jewish stomping grounds of the Lower East Side.
HBO's original series Boardwalk Empire just had its second season premiere, and I had the opportunity to sit down with series regular Anatol Yusef and talk to him about playing the infamous Jewish gangster Meyer Lansky. Known as the mob's accountant, Meyer Lansky was a leader of organized crime through much of the 20th century, along with other famous gangsters such as Al Capone, Bugsy Siegel, Lucky Luciano, and Arnold Rothstein. Boardwalk Empire is a period drama set in Atlantic City, New Jersey in the 1920s at the start of Prohibition. In an interview at the historic Stanton Street Synagogue on Manhattan's Lower East Side, where Lansky grew up, Yusef said he sees a lot of parallels between that era and today's recessionary times.
The gap between the rich and the poor was vast, where people needed to work, people needed money, and they put their trust in people that perhaps in more affluent times they otherwise wouldn't.
In preparing to play Lansky, Yusef studied up on the gangster's early life and career.
I had a clear picture of the young boy. That was very clear to me.
And that's important because you're playing Meyer Lansky in his earlier days.
Right, I'm not playing the kingpin. I'm playing a kid who's trying to make his way.
And as that kid, Yusef made his debut last season on the show's 7th episode in a striking scene.
The cleverness of the writing and the brilliant, apart from it being a brilliant scene, to have this small white boy come into a room of very tall black men, you know, was visually beautiful. And his kind of courage in doing that and cheekiness was beautifully written. I was very lucky with that scene. It was my first day on the show was shooting that scene.
For more from Anatol Yusef of Boardwalk Empire, tune into the full broadcast version of The Week in Review.
Thank you, Meredith. Moving from Jewish characters on the small screen to Jewish characters on the big stage, in a recent newscast, Rebecca Hoenig-Friedman caught up with Judy Gold to talk about her latest show. Well, now the actress and comedian can entertain you with more than just laughs, as Rebecca shows.
Known for its gargantuan corned beef and pastrami sandwiches, the Carnegie Deli unveiled a different kind of delicacy last week, the Gold E-Lox, named for Jewish comedian Judy Gold in honor of her off-Broadway play The Judy Show. and gold was in heaven.
It's like amazing. Like learn about these things when you're a kid, when you're a Jewish kid, the Carnegie Deli. You know, it's like I'm telling you, it's the Jewish Hollywood Walk of Fame.
Carnegie has named sandwiches for other famous people in the past, but Gold is the first female comedian to be honored with her own dish. And the Goldie Lox, a bagel with lox, creamed onions, and tomato served with a side of herring, also holds another distinction.
This is the first time in our history of 75 years doing in business that we've created a sandwich for a celebrity or anybody, a dignitary, a statesman, a sportsman, that we didn't include meat.
And the recipe came from Gold herself. Her inspiration, some good old-fashioned Jewish guilt.
I know Carnegie Deli is known for its meat, and I also know the meat isn't kosher. There was a pinch of guilt there, and I looked on the menu. I noticed they had like eggs and bagels and dairy, and I thought, what is my favorite sandwich of all time? And it's a bagel with cream cheese, lox, creamed onions, sliced of tomato, and a side of herring. And they were like, no problem. And there it is.
It's a combination that Carnegie owner Sandy Levine had never seen before, and one that's coming just in time for the Yom Kippur breakfast.
This really is the most amazing breakfast meal, and what's good is that I'm having it now, and then when I'm sitting in shul on Yom Kippur, I can dream about it. I'll have it fresh in my memory.
But until then, Gold has a Jewish New Year wish for all our viewers.
Shana Tova to everyone. Happy, healthy, prosperous New Year to every one of the Jews.
Reporting for the Jewish Channel, I'm Rebecca Honig-Friedman.
That's all for this week from all of us here at the Jewish Channel. Be well. The Jewish Channel is available on cable. Time Warner Cable Channel 528, IO Optimum Channel 291, RCN Channel 268, Bright House Channel 330, Verizon Fios Channel 900, Cox Channel 1, Frontier Communications, and now on Comcast Cable in the on-demand menu under Premium Channels. For more information, visit tjctv.com.